Hi there, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Mike, and I'm excited to share another Divi tutorial with you. My goal here is to make learning Divi as straightforward as possible. So today we're going to have a look at how to do some minor interactions using Divi 5. I came across a tutorial online that showed you how to do these minor interactions, but every single one of them required you to add code. Now with Divi 5, well, I think it came in Divi 4 already, but in Divi 5 we have this thing called transform. And so this transform feature allows us to do a lot of these things without needing to add the extra code. Divi does all the heavy lifting for us. So when I talk about minor interactions, what does that mean? Well, if I hover over here, you can see the icon will flip around. So that looks quite cool. If I hover over this one, it becomes like a little shake icon, you know, shaking out the pepper. And the final one is there you get like a pulsating heart, right? So we call it a scale icon. All right, so if we scroll down, we get a pulsating button similar to the heart. You go over it, and it's gonna boom, boom. All right, then, oh, I didn't change the name here. It's actually shadow button. Oh, that's the mistake. Divi 5, look at that. I had only changed it in the hover state. I didn't change it in the normal state. Okay, so pulsating button, what does that do? It's supposed to be a shadow button, sorry. So if I hover over it, you get a little shadow effect at the bottom. It moves to upwards and gets a little shadow effect. Spoiler alert, this one does require a little bit of code, at least from how I see it. If you can recreate this and do it without adding any code, please let me know. And then the final one, this one again, in the hover effect it's changed, so it's rotating images. So what happens is if I come over this, it gives us a little bit of a scaling effect. If I come over this one, it gives us a little bit of a jiggly effect, and over this one it also gives us the tilting effect. Okay, so if this looks like something you might be interested in building, just hit that like button below and stick around. I'll probably need about 10 minutes of your time. Alright, so let's jump right into this. So I mentioned that many times before, the people required you, or you can find tutorials like this, but the tutorial always requires you to add in some code. So this one now, we're going to try and do this again. I'll call it add buttons animation, no code. As a lie, we will use some code. And we use the Divi builder. This is Divi 5, so in case you've forgotten that you clicked on the Divi 5 tutorial. Okay, so I'm not going to create all of the minor interactions, the headings here. I'm just going to jump into the actual things themselves because I'm sure you're not interested in all of that. All right, so this one I cheated. Let me call it up front. It looks like a blurb, but actually it's not. What it basically is I've created the blurb, but I've replaced the icon that you get with a blurb with an actual icon. So what does that mean? Okay, let's go build this out and we see. So if I open this, give me 3 columns. I'm going to add in the blurb over here. And okay, I'm not going to worry about all of that, make it all look nice, but instead what I'm going to do is just jump into my image icon and I'm going to delete this image. Okay, so that's done. Next thing I want to do is I want to add. And I want to add an icon. And so I don't want this one, but I want to have that little circular motion. There it is over there. Click on that. And then we can go and hit the design icon. I'm going to hit this up to about 100. And I'm not sure if I still have, nope, I don't have it anymore. Okay, so back. I'm just going to leave it at this color. I don't think color is to what you're really here for. So we're going to leave that there, and we're just going to push it above. So then it gives you that similar kind of blurb effect. So this blurb, we obviously just also want to make sure that our text is centered. Gives us the right effect there. Okay. OCD just needs to increase this one to about 27. And bold it. Okay, I can live with that. All right, so that's done. Now what we want to do is actually let's recreate this. So I'm just going to copy that, pull it across to here. Then I'm going to copy it again and pull it across to the last one. And then I'm also just going to copy this one twice and just pull them across. Okay, so we have all of those created. What is the images that we need? Okay, we need the trash bin and the heart. So I'm just going to change this one to trash and change this one to a heart. Okay, so there we go. It's time for us to bring in a little bit of the magic now. Let's jump to the first one. So what I'm going to do is in my desktop state, I'm going to go to design and I'm going to go to transform. Then I'm going to go here to transform rotate. And when you hit this transform rotate, I'm just going to take it down a little bit, just like that. Okay. And now what I want to do is I want to hit the hover state. So when it's in hover, I want it to come right around to here. Okay. I go back to desktop state. It goes back that way. And so let's see what happens now if I save draft and preview it. Okay, if I hover, there you go. We got the effect. So easily done, right? Without adding any stitch of code. Okay, so let's jump into the next one. I'm going to make this one. See if we hover over it, nothing is happening, right? So let's just jump in here and go to this one. And so the same thing. We want to make sure we're in the desktop. Go to design, go to transform. Everything's okay. All right. Then what we want to do, jump into the hover state. And in the hover state, we want to move this a little bit to the right. Okay, that's all I did, is I just moved it 10.05 to the right. You just click and pull, however much you want it to move. So I'm going to save this. And let's go refresh this on the front end. And we hover over this one, we hover over this one. And there we go, we've got that shaking effect, we've got the rotating effect. Okay, so I hope you can see just how easy this is, how Divi has made this. Let's go to the heart. So now we want to do that pulsating effect, right? Where it gets bigger, and if you hover or take off, it gets smaller. So same thing, first thing, make sure you're in the desktop, just to make sure you don't make any mistakes like what I did when I showed you the demo page. All right, let's go design. Let's go down to transform. And you see everything is as it's supposed to be. Now let's hit the hover. And then we go to transform scale. So transform scale, again, click, bring it up to as big as you want it. And then just hit save draft. All right, let's go save that and refresh on the front end. So we've got our rotation, we've got our shaking, and we've got our scale. And there it goes. You've got to love Divi 5. All right, let's go and create another one. So I'm just going to give us a new section here just to have a bit of clear change. And it's going to be the 2 buttons, I think. Buttons interactions. Yes, 2 buttons. So I'm just going to give it 2 columns rather than 2 rows like that. So let's give this 2 columns. So on the left-hand side, this one was the pulsating button. So this one I'm going to give a little bit of text. So let's go here. And let's just put here pulse effect. And copy this. And then just pull it across to the side. And we can say, see, this is how easy this is. All right, there we go. Let's do this again. Pulse effect. And shadow effect. Okay. Let's add in a button over there. And let's make this button a little bit bigger so that we can see quite clearly what's happening. So button, yes, we want to use custom styles, button color, let's make this a blue background. I don't like that blue. Let's try this blue instead. There. Let's go that blue. And button text, let's make that white. Okay. Now what we want to do is we want to jump into spacing. Just make this 12 both sides and 45 both sides. Okay, that should work. That's a good place to start from. And what I'm going to do, I'm already going to duplicate this now, and I'm just going to pull him across and leave him there. Okay, so we're going to get to him afterwards. So this one, I'm pretty sure you know how this is going to work, right? Because if you take what we've learned so far in the previous things that we've done, this one should make sense to you. And so if I hit on here, all we do is we just go design, transform, leave it at scale, and make that bigger. So if we save draft, and we go to the front end, refresh, we've got that there. If I, oh, what's going on here? Of course, how silly of me. Again, getting ahead of myself. Let's go back down, 100%. Okay. So two things I want to change here first. One is I want to go back to my button icon, and I want to take that off. All right. The second thing is I want to go back to my transform, but I want to change it to a hover state. And then I want to make it bigger. Okay. Let's save that. Go back to the front end. Refresh. And kaboom. There we go. Okay, we've got that pulse effect going. Now, the shadow effect. Again, we need to go first things first. Remove that icon. In desktop. Button icon, remove that. Okay. So over here, what we want to do is we want to move this button up a little bit, but once it moves up, we also want it to display a shadow underneath. So there's two parts to that. One part we can do no code. The other part we need to bring in some code. Okay, so let's go and have a look. Take that button off. And so let's jump into hover. In the hover state, we go to transform. And we can go to transform translate. And in transform translate, let's just take that and we just move it up. Oh, there we go. Okay, that should be good enough for me to get that effect. And then I want to jump into the advanced custom CSS module elements. No, freeform CSS. And in freeform CSS, I just want to paste this code, right? And so I'll put this in the description below so that you can access it from there. But basically, we just want to add in a box shadow. Let's see how that works. Save draft. Okay, we want to hover, and there we go. It goes up. Oh, of course it'll. And this one also now has that effect because we've added that CSS. We're talking about the shadow, that is. Okay. And so let's move on to the next one. And I think it's the last one. Yeah, the images. Okay, so I've called this buttons, but we're also going to do it for some images. Let's move the images, another row in there. And let's add in the images that I have. Okay, and they're quite low down, so bear with me as I scroll to go and get them. Okay, that's one. Okay, right, never mind. First we have to get out of the hover state. All right. Scroll, 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 and select. Upload that image. Next one. Image. And if I knew the names of the images, I could search it a lot faster. That would have made more sense. Select this one, upload, and the last one. Let's just see here. If I come and I type, there we go, that's quicker. All right, we have our 3 images loaded there, locked and loaded, right? So what we want to do is we want to create 3 different animations for this one. And so the first thing we want to do is just to make it get a little bit bigger. So again, we just go design, transform, and transform scale. So transform scale, we just want to make that bigger. There we go. That should be good enough. Not yet. Why? Because we made the same mistake again. This is the thing always to look out for. Hover, and then you make it bigger. Well, not that big. 123, that should work. All right, so that's done. Let's click on the next one. Now notice I clicked on the next one here, but I'm still on my hover state. So keep that in mind. What was the second one? Ah, the jiggle one. Okay, so let's go to design. Let's go to transform. And then you just click on transform skew. And then the transform skew, you just select how you want him to dance. Okay, so I'm just going to say 4 degrees there. And that should be it. And so now if I jump to the last one, this one was the rotation, I think. Yeah, rotation. So it's going to be the same as what we've done before. Design, transform, rotate. And then we just want it to rotate a little bit. There we go. Okay, so that's all done. Let's save that there. And let's go look what that all looks like. So just refresh on the front end. And so there we go. There's one, there's the next one, and there's the third one. All right, so there's all the different animations. If you want to play around with this, you can also add in a box shadow for it. Let's see. I take this code and I go add this code in. Say here, custom CSS. Okay. Save draft. And let's see what that looks like. Okay. And that's because it's got the scales. I don't want that. But what we do want is this. Save draft. Let's go see. Okay, so you can play around with it and you can put in whatever you want as you enjoy or play with it. So I just want to take one more here and see. Change my box shadow. Which one are we playing on? This one. Give it this one instead. Okay, so you can see there we give it a bit of box shadow this time. Just brings it up off the canvas a little bit. All right, if you want, I can put this also into the thing, or I can write a blog post on this. But this is just some of the code that I was playing with regards to the box shadows. So the only thing that you really need for the Cloudways is if you want to add in the box shadows. All the other animations that you could see, everything about the scaling, the rotation, the tilting, all of that is done via the Divi transform function or feature right over here. So I hope this is helpful to you, that you can now go back and you can play with the elements that you have on your websites as well. And so that you can explore more and more in order to create a little bit more interactivity for your users that are coming to your website. And if it is helpful, let me know by just hitting the like button below. And as I learn more about Divi, I'll share more tutorials. So be sure to subscribe so that you can join me on this journey. Other than that, all I want to do is just thank you for sticking around for 20 minutes instead of the 10. And hopefully next time I'll be a little bit more, how shall we say, my video will not be so long. I'll see you in the next video.